what we can expect for the future of places like the Lompoc Valley in Santa Barbara County, outside Vandenberg Space Force Base, and that's in California. Okay, so right now it's the Vandenberg Space Force Base. Now, yes, the Air Force operates here. They do a lot of the support stuff. If the Air Force wasn't here, that would be a tragedy because there would be no way of defending the base, okay? So, and they do a tremendous amount of launch support that cannot happen without the Air Force. Now, before the Air Force Base, before it was the Space Force Base, it was Space Command, the Air Force Base, and before that, Strategic Air Command, Air Force, and then what the Air Force Base had scooped up was the former Camp Cook Army Base and private, and including private land, which was annexed by the Air Force. We're seeing a new round of annexations or proposed annexations that right now is mostly around the Sable offshore drilling project, but is connected to other pumping stations that run essentially from more or less from San Antonio Creek down to Point Conception and then offshore. So those annexations are being proposed are both public and private, such as Gaviota State Park. So what am I driving at? What I'm driving at here is that the Vandenberg Space Force Base and the area around it, there will be further annexations. The preliminary, surveys have been done for quite some time now. I've posted them on this channel, but YouTube freaked out on me and so took down my content and suggested content, as they have done with others who have documented much the same thing that I have been documenting around the United States. So, and military installations, as well as large city centers such as New Jersey. So the future of this area is likely going to be, first of all, I'll say it, a space port, okay? And that will be a global kind of network, if you will. And I know people are going to go, what, when I say this, but the whole thing that's going on with Iran has a lot to do with that, okay? And this goes way back to starting building this infrastructure and the precursors through the 70s and the 90s. So we're moving back over to Vandenberg Space Force Base in Lompoc Valley and the surrounding unincorporated areas of Santa Barbara County, which are going to be scooped up and annexed for the purpose of expanding into a space port. Okay, Slick 14 being a red flag key indicator, man, showing that this is a green light, okay? And the surveys that were done by companies such as Sky Lens LLC being one of them. And so a lot of the drone activity that people were seeing, okay, they've been having contractors come out here, such as Hawker Hunter Aviation, of which lost a aircraft about a year or more ago off the coast here, because they were doing, training for, both developing and fighting against drone technologies. So that's a whole nother thing we can get into as being observers, where it is that we have to distinguish between a variety of things that we see and try to infer or deduce what these things could actually be. Refer to my two videos about that orange orb. Okay, one is my little friend with the sky hat on, or sky friend with the hat on, or whatever, and there's another one. So at any rate, so what does this mean? It means that we're looking at geostrategic locations. Geostrategic locations, of which then they become more of a projection of force versus boots on the ground. This is an old paradigm struggle going back no less than to the mid-19th century. And so, documented stuff, talked about, it's not conspiracy theory, which is the language of dipscattery. It's essentially, the language of morons, this conspiracy theory thing. And it's like a parody. It's like a joke that's been played on people. So at any rate, Vandenberg Space Force Base is essentially a geostrategic location, which is going to be expanded as part of a network of space ports for launch activity around the world. And so the demographics and the sovereignty issues and every single tidbit of how your city offices, your county offices are run, emergency response, policing, surveillance, everything is going to be essentially networked in a way that is meant to suit this geostrategic resource that is Vandenberg Space Force Base and will be a space port. So that's to sum up, because there's a lot that needs to be covered in this in terms of geostrategic localities, sovereignty issues, demographics, areas that are livable and those that are not, annexation, just a whole litany of things, okay? So to sum up for this video, that is the future of Vandenberg Space Force Base as being kind of a central point for this one geostrategic location for this network of spaceports. All right, later.